Now there is one app here I wish I could delete from my phone, but I can't, and it's this red one here. It is just awful to use, but I need it. This video is sponsored by CaseCoo. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to take you through some of the apps on my iPhone that I use on a daily basis. Now I've had a lot of people asking me about what apps I use, so I thought I'd share some of them with you. And I just checked and I've got 182 apps on this phone, so I'm clearly not going to cover all of them, but I will try and skim past anything that's super obvious, so there is a chance you might find something cool here that you've maybe not seen before. Let's start off with my overall thinking behind organising these apps. So there are essentially 4 areas that I've set up here. The first one is all the stuff in the Today view. Again, there's quick access to stuff like widgets and information, buttons for smart lights and switches down here. The second is the home page. This is all the apps I need pretty much instant access to and use most often. The third is page 2, folders and areas. And finally, everything else is the app library with its automatic folders, although if I need anything that's not on these pages, I usually just swipe down and search for it. Oh, and in case you're wondering, this wallpaper, it's part of a wallpaper pack by another tech YouTuber called Olia. It's not affiliated or anything, I just think the guy's a genius. I think I've got pretty much every one of his wallpaper designs, and I'm going to link his store down below. Let's start then on the Today view. So there's a Tesla widget here to show the battery percentage and a few controls at a glance. Underneath that we've got an app called Auto Sleep, which takes data from my watch and makes it into a comprehensive sleep analysis. Now I've got a toddler who isn't much of a fan of sleep, hence this data is not looking too good. It goes into loads more depth than the Apple Health app, so I kind of like it. I keep a running shopping list and food planning list going on here with my wife, which I use to make sure we don't forget what we're supposed to be feeding everyone during the week. And then underneath that, we've got some battery widgets, there's a quick YouTube search, and also some automations that I've set up. We can also see there's an activity overview, some news alerts, and then some smart device switches and some conversion rates for currency. Let's move on to the home page. Up here we've got a widget for Things 3, which is the task manager I prefer on my phone. I've got a second brain which is essentially made up of 3 apps. Things 3 is one of them, and I use it to try and keep a list of things that I need to get done, and you can have them showing in this widget so they're front of mind whenever you open your phone. And likewise, if I come across a thing that needs doing, I need to capture it quickly and efficiently, it's just one tap and then I'm into creating a new to-do. I've tried a great many to-do apps over the years, but I always end up coming back to this one. It's clean, it's quick, and it isn't tied to a subscription. Now the trade-off is it's not cheap, and it also only works on Apple devices, but I do think it is worth paying for. Next up we have Fantastical 2. I have this shown as a widget. It's a souped up calendar app that lets you enter things using natural language and also lays them out really nicely using different views and colours. This next one here is my email app of choice that I've recently switched to. It's called Spark. I get a lot of email and I've been looking around for a few different email clients lately, but eventually settled on this one. It lets you blast through emails really quickly and then set aside any ones that you want to reply to later. Then also you can block certain domains in one click. I love it. Now Twitter, Instagram, YouTube are up here as they're probably my main social media hangouts, although I do sometimes use TikTok and LinkedIn. I tend not to spend much time there. TikTok is like post and ghost. Day One. Now I absolutely love this app. Day One is a digital journaling app that not only makes it easy to save memories, you can do full typed journal entries or videos, photos, even audio notes, but then you can revisit them using tags and locations and also an on this day feature, which is a bit like Time Hop. Now it also has some nice prompts that can make it easy to just get started with getting something down. So if you've ever tried and quit a daily journaling practice, Day One's probably your best shot at getting back into the habit. Next up we've got Notion. I'm going to make a full video on this as it's just basically a massive portion of my second brain. Everything important that I need to remember, create, learn, or curate is in here in some form. It's like Lego for productivity. So over to the right we've got Overcast, which is my favourite podcast app. I listen to podcasts all the time, and Overcast is packed full of features. Firstly, you can have podcasts downloaded into these little areas to make it easy to catch up when you've got some downtime, and I've got these little categories set up, so if I feel like I need cheering up with some comedy podcasts, I can go straight here and get the latest without getting any interference from any other types of podcast. Also, you can set it to playback speeds on a per podcast basis, which I love. I'm a 1.3 speed guy, but I'm working up towards a higher speed. And it helps that with Overcast, there's a feature that automatically shortens silences, so you do get through episodes typically a bit faster than any other podcast apps I've tried. Next to that, we've got Tezzy. This is a custom app for controlling my car and checking out all the geeky stats after I've done a drive or a charge, or to see what my battery efficiency is like. I made a full video about this app a long time ago, but it's basically everything the normal Tesla app should be. Finally, here is the other part of my second brain, which is 1Password. It's a password manager, and I use it multiple times a day, every day. Utterly unthinkable to not have it, and I love how it tells me if one of my passwords has been compromised. Before I move on, I need to tell you what's literally on my phone, and that's this magnetic stand case from Case-Coup. So this only adds an additional 2mm to your phone, and it features this cool folding magnetic stand which lets you use your phone in a variety of different angles and setups. And unlike a lot of phones with stands, it works with MagSafe and also any wireless Qi charger, thanks to the 48-piece magnet that they've somehow managed to integrate here. I actually quite like mounting it up on my extractor fan in my kitchen so that I can catch up with content while I'm making some dinner. They've got tons of designs to choose from and also some cool accessories too. Also, stickers. Now, Case-Coup have just introduced Klarna as a payment option, which effectively means you get more time to pay. Your money stays in your account, and then you've got time to receive the product and try it on for a few days before paying for it. Meanwhile, you'll also get 14 days to return your purchase if you're not happy with it. Pretty cool. And Case-Coup have kindly put together a special discount offer for my viewers in their store, which you can access via the link in the description. Just make sure you quote the code to get your discount. Right, back to the apps. Let's head over to the second page, and here we've got a big old visual of Apple Photos Memories. I really like this as a bit of a trip down memory lane, and it just breaks up a wall of similar sized squares. I really hope we get to see a shake up in iOS at WWDC this year, as this interface is starting to look a little bit tired. Now below that, we've got some news apps. Don't ask me why I've got 4 weather apps on here, other than I'm a Brit and like the walking cliche I am, I love to talk about weather. Next to those, I've got a bunch of entertainment apps for streaming video, music and audiobooks. I used to use Audible loads, but that's kind of taken second fiddle to podcasts these days. I'd like to get back into audiobooks, so hopefully that's something I can work on this year. Then we've got a bunch of finance apps, banking, credit cards, PayPal, that sort of thing. I do most of my personal and business banking with a UK bank called Monzo, which is similar to Starling Bank. It's a bit different, and I like how it kind of categorizes spending for you to allow you to track habits over time. Next up are all the social apps that I don't really use that often. So TimeUp's pretty cool. It tracks back through your photos and your social feeds to dig up what you were talking about or doing on this day in history. Next to that, there's vidIQ. This is a YouTuber tool that I use to help me analyze my channel and also come up with things like ideas for future videos. It also recommends tags and titles to help with SEO. Recently, they also added an AI feature, which is quite new, but I can see how this is going to get better with time. Now, like a lot of people, I flocked to Signal after WhatsApp seemed to do something weird with privacy a little while ago, and I've still got a friend who like to message me that way, so I keep the app going. Discord's also pretty cool. I'm part of a few channels that I lurk around and post in. Likewise, I support a few of the creators via Patreon, which is nice to interact with here. Nextdoor is a really funny app. It's a bit like Facebook, but really local. It's quite good for getting like trade recommendations or for selling things that you don't want to use eBay for. Generally though, it is where people seem to go to panic about stuff. Look at this. And then everything else in this folder is stuff I use for marketing. So Epidemic Sound is a music subscription app I use to find the music that you can hear right now and in most of my YouTube videos. And then MailChimp is what I use to manage my newsletter. If you're not signed up, by the way, I do a monthly digest of psychology, tech and productivity news that you might like. There's a link below. Likewise, I've been a Canva user for forever. I mainly use it to make my YouTube thumbnails, but also for other branding aids. They've got loads of really cool AI integrations now too, which I'm going to talk about in a future video. Oh yes, and Wakelet, that's a curation tool. It lets you make a web page of links and articles and whatnot. So if I'm at a conference and I want to pull together all the tweets from a hashtag for my own personal use or for sharing, that lets me do that really easily. Then we've got some camera and photography apps. Procam is really cool. It turns your camera into like manual mode, so you can get all sorts of cool effects, especially if you're using a custom lens like this macro one from Sandmark. Now there's one app here I wish I could delete from my phone, but I can't, and it's this red one here. It is just awful to use, but I need it. to be able to get videos and images of my Sony a7C camera when I don't have the ability to take the SD card out and plug it in. Please, Sony, do something about this app. It is the worst. Next up, we've got a whole folder full of charging apps for my car and bike. There's even one for my bike helmet here. I do enjoy the EV life, but the fact that you have to have all these different apps to use different public chargers for is just crazy. Hopefully someone's going to come out in a year or so with a single app that rules them all. We'll see. There's just one more here that I wanted to cover, and that's my VPN. If you haven't got a VPN, you should definitely get one installed. It lets you protect your privacy and data if you're out and about on public Wi-Fi systems, and also access different forms of content. So things like Netflix in America has got different options to Netflix here in the UK. Likewise, you can get different prices for things like flights and hotels depending on where the website thinks you're booking from. So ClearVPN is just gorgeous to use, and you can buy it as part of the setup subscription, which I have, or you can pay separately. I've linked all of that below if you want to check it out. So those are just a few of the apps on my iPhone that I use on a daily basis. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have got any app recommendations for me, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to my channel for more content like this. See you next time.